Welcome back to N+1 channel. This is Carl, and this is an exciting video. It is the 1-year anniversary of Overwatch. And as a result, Blizzard has blessed us with an anniversary event. We've known that this is going to exist for a while, and it was speculated on even before then. So with that said, this is patch notes for live 1.11.1.2. Wow, a lot of major and minor revisions here. I actually am kind of curious about their numbering convention. So these are the Overwatch patch notes for May 23rd, 2017. A new patch is now live on Windows PC. Read below to learn more about the latest changes. Then, it's got a link to share your feedback, list of known issues, and a bug report forum, and for troubleshooting assistance. So I've just downloaded this patch. I haven't started it yet because I wanted to do this patch note video right out the gate. Now, with that said, patch highlights. New seasonal event, Overwatch anniversary. We're raising our glasses to toast the 30 million heroes who have answered the call to join us in Overwatch. From now until June 12th, players can collect more than 100 anniversary-themed rewards and play 3 new arena maps in the arcade, all in celebration of our first year fighting for the future together. Put on your finest skins and join us for the festivities. Now, I've gotten a chance to actually see some of these new maps, and they're interesting. They're interesting for a couple of reasons. One, they actually look like they're taking a lot of assets, or at least thematic, sort of this thematic approach to matching some of the other maps. For instance, one of the maps looks like it's an extension of Dorado. One of the other maps looks like it's an extension of Eichenwald. The other one, I thought it was an extension of the Temple of Anubis map, but I'm not really sure. It looks a little more tropical than that, and doesn't necessarily match the overall presentation. But that said, let's look at what is in store. New standard loot box items. So this is something that that people are hoping for, right? So every time we get an event, all the items are temporary for the most part. There've only been a few items added in kind of that have been permanent, like those 2 skins for Reinhardt. Bastion Sidamo was eventually added in, was in the game files for a while actually, and I don't know why it wasn't in the mainline game, but they added it in eventually. And we've seen them respond to to player requests, right? So we saw the Sombra Boop voice line added in after the short that got everyone kind of in love with Sombra when she was first announced. All right, so in addition to the new items in the Overwatch anniversary event, we're also adding new goodies to our standard loot boxes. Sombra, Orisa, Tracer are all getting brand new emotes, and Reaper picks up several new unlocks based on the infamous shrug from the recent Uprising comic. And for those who didn't see that, not only was it seeing Reaper, but it was seeing Reaper in his Blackwatch Reyes outfit, and he's just kind of doing this. So that kind of became a meme for a little while. You saw it a lot on Twitter, saw it a lot on Reddit, and I think the fact that they're actually responding to the community and giving us these items that are definitely popular and that people want, I appreciate that. I appreciate all the work that Jeff Goodman and Jeff Kaplan and I can't remember anybody else. That's terrible. I read about other names, but those are the 2 that stick out to me the most, and they're both Jeffs, actually. All right, so General, custom games and game browser. Added new rules sets, actually, for 3v3 and 1v1 elimination modes on the arena maps. They added options for hero lockout, limited hero pool, tiebreakers, and hero reveal for elimination mode. I'm assuming hero reveal is enemy has been revealed, when a match takes too long. I've actually had a lot of fun with the custom game browser. I played a custom game on PlayStation 4 the other day. It was like Zookeepers versus like animals, and it was basically you played as Anna, or one team was all Anna and the other team was all Winston. The only problem is that they set it up on Ilios, and there were a couple points where he could effectively hide away from you, like you could not hit him. So even being revealed, they could stall out the matches. which is unfortunate, and I guess the host hadn't considered that, but I really like the custom games browser. It really replaces the old arcade mode before we actually had the whole like gigantic arcade section. So that's really cool. Players can now disable secondary fire and secondary weapons in custom games. This just allows for more flexibility. And you can now disable one Symmetra ultimate while leaving the other active. Now that's a really cool idea, right? Because, you know, Symmetra started off with her teleporter, and then she got the shield generator, and, you know, the shield generator can really tip the balance in a game. So being able to control that in a custom game is really nice. Being able to control not being able to deploy the teleporter is also really nice. Alright, so we got some hero updates, and these actually have been kind of played around with on different PTRs. So, alright, in general, recoil recovery aim compensation can now be disabled for Ana, McCree, and Widowmaker. The option can be found under the Control tab in the Options menu. Simply select the appropriate hero under the drop-down menu and look for the Heroes section. Developer comments, by default, weapon recoil recovery is overruled by downward crosshair movement. This means that downward movement during the weapon's recoil recovery phase will override the weapon's natural recoil recovery. This option allows you to remove this functionality, meaning a weapon's natural recoil recovery movement acts independently from downward crosshair movement. In practice, this will make your crosshair move faster if you aim downward during the recoil recovery window. That sounds like a lot of technical stuff, and I don't play a lot of snipers, but it sounds like it's just a way to kind of tweak how it moves after you shoot. You know, do you want it to actually recover on its own? Do you want to have more manual control? And this is going to affect aiming for people who main people like Widow and who else was it? Yeah, McCree and Ana. And actually, McCree does have some weird kind of recoil with his revolver, but that revolver also does a lot of damage. A surprising amount of damage. Alright, so, Genji. We remove the attack delay from Genji's wall climbing ability, allowing him to engage with enemies immediately after he finishes climbing. Now, this was actually in the PTR earlier this month, and just kind of let you launch off and immediately attack. It was just a QOL change. A lot of Genji mains and a lot of Hanzo mains actually appreciate it. They also changed it for Hanzo. And in fact, actually, yeah, you can see that right here. Attack cooldown from Hanzo's wall climbing ability. Stormbow. Increased charge speed by 10%. Now that's interesting. And charge arrows now maintain the charge after climbing a wall, provided the button is continuously held. It doesn't make a lot of logical sense, right? Like, how are you going to keep that bow, you know, tense while you're climbing and not touching it? But, you know, Overwatch is a game that's not really physically accurate, right? I mean, we love the ragdoll physics. We love, apparently, I guess we like the passive scrap regeneration for Torbjorn that was added in. I actually didn't. I played a really good Torbjorn, though, before that update. And so having the extra scrap when you just were killing tons of the opponents and just constantly throwing out armor, you can still kind of do that, but if you had this nice kill pile while you were defending, I could actually get armor out much quicker with the old build. This is, I guess, a little more balanced, or was more balanced when it was changed. So yeah, decreasing Hanzo's draw time gives him more overall DPS, while also letting him fully charge an arrow, and more quickly return to full movement speed when needed. And, like the change to Genji's wall climbing, this is a quality of life change that will make climbing feel better. Alright. Orisa, her fusion driver, that is her main gun, for those who aren't familiar. Damage reduced by 9%. And I want to say it was actually nerfed higher on PTR when I was going through those notes. But, you know, a lot of people have been using Orisa not only as an off-tank, but as kind of in the same way that people use Roadhog, where he was, or is, treated like an attack hero with a ton of health. Even with all the hook nerfs and the changes, I mean, we've been through hook 2.0 and 3.0 and 3.1, and, you know, yeah, is Hog less useful than he used to be? Yeah. But he's still a good pick. Orisa, on the other hand, you know, a lot of people were already saying that her damage output was too low. And when they initially released her, you know, she had a clip size of 200, they dropped it to 150, and now we're seeing reduced damage. And it seems like they're trying to force her defensive category, and that's what they intended for her, but at the same time, the community has kind of used her differently, so I don't know how I feel about that. The protective barrier, on the other hand, the cooldown was reduced from 12 seconds to 8 seconds, and I know that they see that as a buff. I actually don't. A lot of times, I would never really, whenever I played as Orisa or saw Orisas, you know, people do sometimes go for that shield, but it's got a lot of hit points. It's got a lot of life, and the fact that once you deploy it, your cooldown starts to recharge. Usually, you have the opportunity to redeploy one pretty much right away, so I don't see this as a big change. But they said, you know, to help Orisa maintain the front line for her team, we're reducing the cooldown of our protective barrier. This change also helps her reposition the barrier more easily when needed. To compensate for this new defensive strength, we're reducing her fusion driver's damage as it felt too high. So, it's not necessarily that the fusion driver damage reduction was the highlight. It was more like, okay, we want to be able to deploy these shields more quickly, and now, I had not considered the fact that you might want to reposition it. You know, of course, when you have Reinhardt with a shield, it moves with him. When you have Symmetra with a shield, you know, it just continues on a path. But I'll tell you, on a game where you've got all three of those heroes, it is just red and blue shields everywhere, especially on arcade mode when you've got, you know, these janky team comps of like 6 Symmetras or something. And you just, it's practically a UFO invasion with all the blue shields and red shields and stuff. Alright. Excuse me. Reaper. His Wraith form ammo is now entirely refilled when Wraith form is used. This was on PTR. I don't think that this is a terrible change, and it's definitely a huge buff to Reaper, right? Because a lot of times it's not too risky to chase him down when he wraiths away, because a lot of times when he's wraithing, he is actually trying to use that as a movement ability. His speed goes up by 1.5 times, and so it's kind of an escape move. I mean, I don't know. I almost never really see people use Reaper's Wraith form to push forward. I know you can, but it's become more of a defensive thing. And as a result, a lot of times when people are popping the Wraith form, it's because they're trying to escape. So this is an interesting change, right? I definitely think it does help Reaper though. And developer comments, Wraith form is typically used as an escape ability after firing. This change gives Reaper a fighting chance if an enemy chases him down as he uses it. Alright, Reinhardt's Earth Shatter. Earth Shatter. Effective height has been lowered from 3 meters to 2 meters. This would actually happen to hit people who are in the air, low-flying Pharas, low-flying Mercies. It didn't make a lot of sense. And the height threshold of objects that Earth Shatter can climb has been lowered from 3 meters to 2 meters, making Earth Shatter less likely to climb tall objects as it moves along the ground. Developer comments are Earth Shatter tended to climb unexpectedly high, frequently hitting targets that were significantly above the ground. These changes help the ability stay more grounded. Ha ha ha! Overwatch team. Overwatch team. So, I don't know, that doesn't really affect me much, but I can kind of see why they did it. Alright, Soldier 76, Heavy Pulse Rifle. Bullet damage decreased from 20 to 19. I actually still feel like this is not a real change, and I'm surprised that they just left it at 1 damage. Soldier is kind of a must-pick when you have comps where the enemy has like a Pharah, for instance, because of the fact that his bullets are hit scan. He's a really good hard counter to Pharah, but I don't really see this changing anything. Developer comments, Soldier 76 is in a much better place lately, but his damage output was making him a must-pick compared to similar roles. I don't see that changing anything, right? I kind of see Soldier is still going to be a must-pick. If you really want to nerf him, you need to drop him down to like 17 or 16 even, but at that point, he is significantly less powerful than a recon mode Bastion. and so I don't know that I'd see the value in that either. I think they just should kind of leave him alone. He's in a good spot. Not until they release new heroes. Alright. User interface changes. Your final blows are now highlighted by a white background in the kill feed. I don't know what that looks like. I'll have to see that. Added new kill feed icons for environmental kills and a number of abilities. And heroes resurrected by Mercy are now highlighted and color-coded in the kill feed. Now that's kind of cool to see who's been resurrected. And that actually shows for both teams, not just the team that you're on. Certain types of assists, like McCree's Flashbang or Zenyatta's Orb of Discord, now show up in the kill feed. That's cool. I don't know that changes much for me. Oh, excuse me. I quite like playing as Zenyatta, actually. He was my original main before Mercy. And so I pretty much main, Mercy, second Zenyatta, third Torbjorn on defense kind of deal. New controller option, Force keyboard/mouse user interface. I'm not even sure what that means. Oh, yes I do. Okay, so if you have a controller plugged in, I guess it prevents it from changing the icons on there. So that makes sense. Developer comments, when PC players switch from using keyboard/mouse to a game controller, the game's user interface is dynamically updated to the console/controller version. Additionally, the button layout on many heroes like Hanzo, Zenyatta, and Mercy is different on console. In the past, when a player chose to play using a controller and a mouse, the UI would constantly switch depending on which device was sending information to the game. This new option allows players to set a default user interface if they choose to use a controller along with a keyboard/mouse. So that's actually nice. Actually, when I play Rainbow Six Siege, I use a hybrid of Xbox 360 controller for my left hand and a mouse for my right hand. And part of the reason for that is I really like the movement sensitivity that an analog stick confers, right? So when you have WASD, you have one rate of movement, and that's kind of why you have, like, in a lot of games, you have shift to run kind of deal. However, I don't find it as natural. And by the same token, aiming is significantly better with a mouse, especially when you pump up the sensitivity. You can get a lot of amazing shots off with exceedingly good accuracy, right? So I started off Overwatch specifically as a console player. And, characters like Ana and Hanzo and Widowmaker do definitely get picked less. In fact, Mercy is more common for a healer than Ana is on PC. And that's part of what actually drove me to be a Mercy main, was because of how effective she was. Alright. So, we've got bug fixes. General fixed an issue that prevented voice lines from being heard during the play of the game. And fixed an issue causing shields to display the wrong team color during the play of the game. Also fixed a bug that caused high-resolution screenshot captures to have visual issues. Ooh, excuse me. I hadn't seen that. I don't actually use the in-game capture feature. Alright, Arcade fixed a bug causing the introduction before 1v1 mystery duels to be interrupted. Fixed an issue causing parties to be split between teams when joining a custom game as a group. That's interesting. So I guess it would dump some people on the other side. I want to say I've seen that, actually. Fixed an audio bug in elimination games that could cause the end of round music to end abruptly. And fixed a bug in custom games that caused parties to be evenly split between teams isn't that the same thing? Custom evenly split between teams. Okay. That sounds like the same thing that they fixed, just two different ways to word it. Alright, AI fixed a bug that allowed bots to become stuck around the well on Ilios. Well, it's better than when they just straight up jumped in the hole. Now, that was hilarious. Custom game browser. A scroll bar has been added to the custom game settings window so players can see all the changes if they extend below the screen. Let's see. Disabling primary fire will no longer disable secondary weapons for Mercy, D.Va, and Torbjorn. Well, that's good, actually, because that seems like it could cause issues with either healing or with a pistol. Fixed a bug that prevented the cooldown modifier from functioning for Ana's sleep dart. Oh. So I feel like that could go either way, right? No cooldown on Anna's sleep dart was like that old arcade mode where you could pretty much just infinitely sleep dart someone for all of eternity. And on the flip side, having a cooldown that wouldn't reset would be terrible. So I'm glad they fixed that, I guess. Fixed a bug that caused some weapons to stop playing sound effects when no ammunition requirement was used. Alright, fixed a bug that caused parties to be split up between teams when joining a custom game. Didn't they say this like 3 times? It must all be related. Alright, so competitive play. Fixed an issue that can prevent the 30 and 60 second audio callouts from being played at the end of a match. Fixed a bug that prevented players from grouping based on skill rating restrictions during the off-season. Now, the off-season's only going to be like 2 days this time around, right? I think that Season 5 starts on like June 1st and it ends on the 29th, which is interesting, actually. I don't know why Blizzard does this, but they release these patches before the current season is over, which they introduce bugs from time to time and have the potential to actually alter the meta. I actually think it's not like a great idea, but that's okay. All right. Heroes. Fixed a bug that caused Lucio's healing and speed song ores to be inaccurately projected. Fixed a bug that prevented Discord Orb from being removed when Mercy uses her Resurrect ultimate. Fixed a bug that prevented Orisa's Fortify from blocking the alternate fire from Lucio's Sonic Amplifier. Fixed a bug that prevented Roadhog's Hook from pulling enemies into the reticle when the target was on higher ground. Fixed a bug that prevented Orisa's protective barrier from deploying in certain situations. Fixed an issue that affected some graphics cards, causing an inaccurate ammo count to be displayed with Pharah's Mecha Queen and Raptorian skins equipped. Now that's interesting, actually, why the skin would affect that. I want to say I made a comment about that on the last PTR patch note video that I did. Fixed a bug that could prevent 2 charging Reinhardts from being able to kill each other. I just picture, you know, kind of deal. Fixed a bug that allowed Reinhardt to damage himself twice when charging a fortified Orisa. Fixed a bug that prevented Winston's Primal Rage ultimate from restoring his health when hit by Ana's Biotic Grenade. Well, that makes sense. So they probably tied that health regain to just a normal health regain. And by getting hit by Biotic Grenade, since it prevents healing, I can see why that bug actually even emerged. Alright, and maps. Fixed a bug that caused Tracer to move oddly when she first appeared in the tutorial. Fixed an issue causing asymmetry between pillars on the ruins capture point on Ilios. I'm not sure what they mean causing asymmetry between pillars, other than like maybe their height. I'm not really sure. Fixed a bug that allowed Sombra to reach unintended locations on Numbani. Uh-oh, it's Reaper all over again. Fixed a bug that allowed players to reach an unintended location on Route 66. And fixed a bug that allowed Sombra to reach unintended locations on Watchpoint Gibraltar. So, these are actually some good changes. I'm surprised that they didn't actually talk about the new maps on here, and it kind of worries me then. That means that I suspect these maps may not be permanent, and I wasn't really clear on that. You know, when you look at the Overwatch anniversary page, you know, they show you all this stuff here. And you can actually see a preview of the skins. You can see a preview of the skins, which we actually already have a skin named Bedouin. But this is Pharah's new skin. Okay, that's Pharah's new skin, which I actually am somewhat fond of. It looks really neat. And it's more than just a recolor. It's got some extra assets, like with the Egyptian headscarf and the slightly modified helmet. Honestly, this one, the Soldier 76 skin, or they called it Cyborg 76. I'm actually a little, maybe iffy on, right? So I think it's supposed to make him look like a cyborg, but it actually makes it look like he's made out of balloon animals. That was my first impression, actually. When I looked at his arms, it looks like he's made out of like these orange balloon animals on his biceps and all the way down his arms. So to me, it actually kind of makes him look goofy. This event actually has skins that I'm not super fond of. So that's one of them, honestly. It just looks goofy. All right, so Cruiser. then this is my first time seeing this, and I love it. Right, you have this like 1950s-esque diner kind of look to Diva. It's actually very American, which I'm surprised. Well, maybe I'm not very surprised, right? But I mean, we know that Diva is South Korean, so it doesn't feel very like culturally not correct, but like it doesn't make a lot of sense thematically. But at the same time, that's super cool, right? She looks like an adorable kind of pinup girl, and her mech actually reminds me of the outside of some of those old jukeboxes. So I can kind of see what they were going for here. You can even see this right there. That kind of reminds me of like the hood ornaments and stuff you would see on like classic cars. Actually, maybe that's what it's more modeled after, is like a classic car. So I can see that. Okay, yeah, I get it. It's cool. All right, this is Tracer. They called it graffiti. I don't know that I'm very fond of it. She's got this weird kind of gas mask thing going on, which is a pretty big change. I don't really see another skin that this resembles, so this is probably a legendary. Though for a legendary, it's a little overwhelming, or not overwhelming, underwhelming. It's all right. All right, we got Hanzo here, Cyber Ninja, and it's got the same orange thing kind of going on. You know, I guess thematically, it sort of bridges the gap between Hanzo and Genji. We've known for a while that Hanzo and Genji actually were the same character at one point, and this almost seems like it's a bit of a reference to that, so I can kind of see that. Let's see here. Oh, okay. All right, this is the Beekeeper skin for May. Now, this is interesting. I actually am somewhat of a fan of like the Rescue Me skin and like the firefighter skins in general. And this is like sort of another one. You know, you can see sort of the same glove kind of deal, and you know, she's got some huge boots in general. But I do like it. It looks okay. And of course, it's kind of adorable. But her robot, and I can't think of her robot's name, but he's got the antennas, so that's kind of cool. All right, now, a lot of people have been talking about this. They call this one Siberian. Believe it or not, that is Zarya, okay? And a lot of people were just saying, you know, oh man, like I kind of want that Zarya Power Ranger skin, right? This is one of the most divisive skins I've ever seen, though. A lot of people are like, man, that looks terrible, and a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this is cool. What's my opinion? My opinion is it looks really, really not like it's part of the Overwatch universe, actually. I don't agree that it looks like a Power Ranger, but it looks different. Design-wise, it's okay. I don't really get the whole hair through the top of the armor thing, though. That seems like a really bad design flaw, unless that's like part of the armor. But I digress. That's the Siberian skin. Dune Buggy. I don't know why this is Dune Buggy. He does have, well, I could have sworn he has a wheel on his back, but I can't really tell. That doesn't really necessarily look like a wheel. And I don't recognize this bird, honestly. So I couldn't tell you what kind of bird that is. But it's the same kind of deal, actually, with the Soldier 76 skin, where I feel like this Bastion looks like he's made out of just like party balloons, right? And they're just strewn all across his armor. Like I expect him to just blow a big balloon out of his turrets or something. It just looks silly, and I'm not a fan. And this is coming from someone who used to play Bastion. I liked Bastion. I liked Bastion before he was, you know, made relevant, actually. I mean, yeah, okay, you can just hold down your left click or your, you know, your R2 or whatever, just constantly shoot bullets. But his DPS is still unmatched in this game. And, you know, the fact that he isn't necessarily very mobile doesn't necessarily take away the fact that his DPS is good, right? All right, so when I first saw this, I had this like weird flash of like a Kamen Rider kind of, or like even the old Gundams would have that sort of V shape at the top of their head, but straight up. Oh, and in fact, actually, it's Sentai. All right, almost like a Power Ranger. So he actually does kind of look like a mix between the Green Ranger, a Grasshopper, and like Kamen Rider. And so this one I see a lot more as being like a Power Ranger. And actually the fact that they call it Sentai feels like it's maybe a reference to Super Sentai, which is what Power Rangers was actually based off of. So that's cool, I guess. All right, Oasis for Symmetra. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, stylistically, it's really cool. I think nothing beats like the Devi or Goddess skins though for Symmetra. Like not even like the Vampire or like her Year of the Rooster skins, which were, you know, those were only epics anyway. They weren't legendaries. This is clearly a legendary. But I also want to know, how does she see? Right? How does she see in that? I don't know. Oh no. Oh no. Lucio! Ow! Alright. So I don't know how I feel about this. But that's Lucio's skin. And it's called Jazzy, and I can totally see why it's called Jazzy. Actually, to be honest with you, it's not a bad skin. Maybe a little goofy, but he actually looks pretty spiffy here. I also kind of like the almost like I don't know what are over here, like valves or something. This is almost steampunkish with the roller skates, and actually no, those are like the valves on like a lot of brass instruments. So I get it. All right. Was that the last one? That's the last one. Okay, so like those are the skins. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 skins. So not a skin for everybody. Some people were speculating that we'd get skins for everybody. Also, these are all temporary skins, and I think we were kind of hoping for permanent skins. I'm gonna do a video actually on the unlockables eventually, but we got dance emotes for people. Ooh, wait, what is this one like? Oh, he doesn't do that. That's not a dance. I do like that little puff of black smoke at the bottom though. That's pretty nice. All right. Orisa. Oh, it looks like they all have one. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 24. Yeah, that's all heroes. Okay. Nice. Everybody got a dance emote. All right. Play new arena maps. Arena maps are small but built for intense action. Eliminate all enemy players to win a round and ultimately win the match. As part of the anniversary event, we've added 3 new maps to the arcade that support up to 3v3 elimination matches. But again, I don't like how they're wording that. So are these only temporary maps? If so, that's actually kind of disappointing. I have been waiting for them to add new permanent maps. All right, so we got Necropolis. Ana Amari has made Necropolis her personal hideout and an impromptu field base where she can keep an eye on things. Head to Ana's preferred vantage point at the top of the ruins and use the high ground and the element of surprise against the enemy team. Or walk the stone corridors below and take the fight to them directly. Just watch out for pits. Okay. And then we have Castillo. And Castillo is an old fort looking out over Dorados Bay. It's the location of Calaveras, a bar frequented by questionable patrons. Patrons? What? Patrons. A graffitied Los Muertos hangout and Sombra's hacking den. Test your skills against the enemy team throughout Castillo's multiple levels and use its winding stairs for cover and strategic advantage. And then we have Black Forest. On the outskirts of Eichenwald, the misty Black Forest map wraps around a long overlooked battlefield dotted with the wreckage of Bastion units. Flank your opponents on pathways between the castle and woods and use the wooden balconies to move between the second stories of houses throughout the forest. Then collect commemorative loot. And that's it. And that is actually all that I'm going to do for this video. We talked about the balance changes. We talked about the new items, got a chance to preview some of the skins, and I hope you join me for a video where I'm going to be actually showing and rotating the actual skins in game to see them in motion. You know, seeing just a picture of them doesn't really give you a good idea. with that said, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like it. If you have anything to say about this video, any suggestions or just feedback on this, go ahead and comment. I've only been doing these patch note videos for a couple months, and I could always use improvement, right? And I'm totally open to new ideas. And if you like content like this, or you like our Let's Plays, because that's actually really a lot of what we do, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to see new subscribers. At this point, I think we're, as a channel, at 156 subscribers. But, you know, I know we can do more, and I know that by getting more subscribers, I can bring more content. So with that said, I'd like to see you next time. Maybe join me in Overwatch. Let's keep doing the thing, and I will